After years of studying medicine, one would think that getting a hospital placement would be reason to celebrate. But it seems the hospital you get placed in is just as important. Medical students are allegedly paying thousands of rand to swap hospital placement spots. Some are even said to be auctioning their placement to help pay off student loans. Well, that's part of the story that's been reported extensively on Independent Online, and credit to their reporting. And to get reaction to that story, I'm joined by Dr. Angeliqe Coetzee of the South African Medical Association, who joins me via Skype. Doc, thank you for joining me and good morning to you. How rife is this practice of swapping spots and actually having some kind of a financial incentive and inducement between the people who are seeking to swap placements for internships as well as community service?
Good morning and good morning to all the viewers out there. Yes, this is a problem that we are aware of, but we don't have any physical proof that it's actually happening. So if it's happening, it is happening not where we are aware of it, but we know that these rumors are going around, and it is unacceptable. So from SAMA's side, if there's anyone that is aware that someone is paying for a placement, especially, we have heard that some of the interns swap, or not swap, pay about 100,000 rand for a placement. Please let us know, because this is totally unethical. We cannot swap places for payment. This was the National Department of Health brought this into the swapping as trying to help the students who have a placement in, let's say, Hospital A, but his friend is in Hospital B, and he knows that he wants to be in B and his friend in A, and then they are allowed to swap. But no monetary value should be exchanging any hands.
Yeah.
This is not acceptable.
Why is it unacceptable, the involvement of money? Just paint the picture for me. What is the effect of it,
because
of money being involved?
So once if you start to get money involved, it means that someone who has money. So if you are in a financial position to pay for a post that you otherwise would not have gotten, it is not fair against people who cannot afford it. It is not fair against the system itself. And then, National Department of Health could then just as well say, listen, sell all your posts to whoever wants to get that post. It is not acceptable. So you cannot. It's not ethical. You need to understand that this was a way of National Department of Health of trying to alleviate the problem with interns wanting to change their locations or their placements, and therefore were allowed to do this, and currently are allowed. But if this rumors keeps on going around and prove to be true, I would not be surprised if the National Department of Health then says you will have your placement. If you do not like the placement, don't want to take that placement, you will then unfortunately not have another placement. So this is not a rule or a thing that you can say, yes, and you know what, we can do what we want now. It's not like that. This was trying to help the system.
Yeah. I imagine then, Doc, that there must be certain factors. There must be some factors that are behind the creation of the need that has now led to the system being abused in the way that it is. For instance, is there a backlog around the placement of people for community service? Because I think I heard something like that a few years ago, which I imagine would be frustrating for people who have done all those years in terms of studying towards a medical degree and only to be stymied right at the end of things. And that sort of, perhaps I would say, if that's the case, would create a market for the system to then be abused. Am I correct in that?
No, you're not totally correct, because if you have not been placed, you cannot sell or buy anything because you've got nothing to swap. So, and currently, yes, there is a backlog of interns and ComServes that's not been placed yet, but we have been given the assurance from the National Department of Health that before the end of this month they will be placed. And so, this buying of a post. It's got nothing to do with those guys that's not yet been placed, as I said, because there's nothing that you can sell or buy.
Makes sense. Let me tease out one last aspect then, Doc, and talk to me about why people would be keen to pay as much as 100,000 rand to be placed in particular locations, other than the convenience of being close to family or, you know, closer to your own social circles and associations, and perhaps it's more convenient. Is there anything objective in terms of the conditions under which medical students serve their internships and community service that is making them want to serve, particularly in provinces such as the Western Cape, Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal, as opposed to, for instance, serving your internship at Cecilia Makiwane, for example, in the Eastern Cape?
Yes, we see that there is a lot of these youngsters that heard stories about some of these rural hospitals, and some of them are valid. We're not saying they're not valid. And that is something that we every year ask them to tell us, and we try to rectify with National Department and Provincial Department of Health that situation. So they are, so that's one of the things, is that it's too rural for some of them. The second one is that a lot of these students want to use the intern and ComServe, especially on the ComServe, as already to prepare themselves for specialist posts. And it makes it difficult if you're not in a training hospital, but out in the rural hospitals, where you then need to apply to go into these posts. So they think that if you are already in a internship hospital or a training hospital, that it's easier for you to apply for the post and just go into that post. The thing is, you're supposed to learn in your internship. You need to learn under supervision. We also know that there's a lot of these hospitals that take the interns in, and there is not enough supervision or oversight over these students, which, again, I do understand makes it extremely difficult. But we rather need to sort the situation than to say, I do not want to go to that rural areas. There's only so much posts as well, unfortunately.
All right. Thank you for your insights there, Dr. Angeliqe Coetzee of the South African Medical Association, reacting there to the report. Credit to the team at Independent Online around medical students basically swapping positions and, in fact, reportedly even exchanging cash to secure those placements in as far as internships and community service is concerned. This is All Angles on eNCA.